There is Jacques Diver, who tops the points, and had a conversation with him just prior to the race, and pretty happy where he's at. It's going to be very interesting right at the front, because both Jacques Diver and Gautam Singhania on the front row of the grid both race for the same Kessel team. There's the 128 car of Christian Kinch, who also supreme qualifying from him sees him going from P5. And there, the way it looks, there is our pole position driver, Gautam Singhania, who is on 144 points, and Jacques Diver is on 184 going into this race. So basically Gautam needs to win both the races across the weekend. There is car number 113, which belongs to Paul van Loonhout. We see Paul racing regularly in the Finali Mondiali weekend. And there's Dirk Adamski. As I said, it's a welcome return to Dirk Adamski, who we've not seen enough of this season, sadly. Work commitments have kept him away from racing. But pleasingly, Dirk is back for this weekend as we take a snapshot of Mugello. So a snapshot look at Mugello, our postcard, if you like, then, of this fantastic circuit. We're about 30 minutes north, I guess, of Florence, maybe an hour south of Bologna here in Tuscany. And we await the start of this 30-minute race for the Coppa Shell drivers. And there we look at the Eric Prinot car then, who is P3 in the European points, and as I mentioned earlier, was one that you would have bet an awful lot of money on him actually taking the championship this year. Hasn't gone his way, though, in the last couple of rounds. Paul van Loonhout then in car number 113 that we saw there. And there is the Hladik car, number 144, driving for Scuderia Praha. Good to see Vladimir back on track this weekend. So it is the glittering World Finals for Ferrari, where not only do we have the finals of the challenge races in cars like this, the mid-engine Berlinetta 458, the Evo version of the 458, but we have demonstrations from Scuderia, of course, as well, and the F1 Clienti cars are here too. It's a real festival of all that's great about Ferrari across the 3 days, Friday, Saturday and Sunday. There is, as we zoom into the pink-fronted Corinna Gosner car. And there is father of Corinna, Thomas Gosner. Going from P10 on the grid is Thomas. So it's not only Thomas, the father, that races, but Corinna and Manuela, his daughters, and also son David, that races in the Trofeo Pirelli category of Ferrari Challenge also. The 144 car is Vladimir Hladik, and there is Eric Chung, who's also racing in his Formula One car this weekend.
Hello friends, I'm Eric Prinot, Italian. I live in the mountains in Val Gardena. I'm here at Mugello with my team, MP Racing of Ineco. So for these finals, to find out who will be the best 2015. The atmosphere at Mugello is beautiful, is great, and the finals all the year we had a very nice festa. So I will enjoy also this year this finals here at Mugello. I like it. Mugello circuit is, I think, a difficult track. Not easy to drive. You have to drive very smoothly. Otherwise, you lose a lot of time. So, my opinion, who will be the best here at Mugello will be the best all over the world. So guys, let's enjoy this weekend.
Eric Prinot then proving not only is he a great racing driver, but has some TV presentation talent as well. And, well, if Eric can make this track work, he has probably as many laps around this circuit as nearly any other driver out there. And Eric's saying you need to be super smooth to make this track work. So we will see who is the smoothest of them today. We're about to go racing. So Beppe Scanetti then driving the Hublot safety car has left the grid, which means we are just a few seconds away from the cars being released as well on their formation lap. Right on cue, the cars go. Led by Gautam Singhania with Jacques Diver to his outside, then it's Eric Prinot and Dirk Adamski. It's a rolling start for the Ferrari Challenge Coppa Shell drivers. So they have this 5.2 kilometer circuit to use as a warm-up. There's Romanelli, who's wearing our helmet camera then. And during the course of the race, will give us some fantastic shots of what it's like from a driver's eye perspective on this 5.2 kilometer circuit of Mugello, featuring some 14, 15 turns, depending on how you count the Bucina turn, whether it's 1 or 2. Jacques Diver, another one that's wearing our helmet camera, and Jacques Diver then heading potentially towards the Coppa Shell Championship in Europe. You see the all-yellow car there of Holger Harmsen, who's not had a brilliant time of it in qualifying, was pretty disappointed. Was quick yesterday, and then today really struggled with the car. Mike Zoy that we're on board with now, Ferrari Fort Lauderdale, one of our North American friends here for this World final weekend. The Finali Mondiali from Ferrari is about to get underway. So Jacques Diver then trying to get some heat into those rear tyres by spinning them up. You can see Gautam Singhania just coming into shot now. There is the safety car, which will back all the cars up. And it's down to that man to control whether the race starts or not, if he's happy with the grid lineup. So the Hublot safety car that we are on board with right now, as it comes around the Corentella, and then through the little Blondetti chicane, which is effectively turn 13, then it is the Bucina turn. And that marshal is telling them all to get into grid. And it's going to be a real dash to turn 1, San Donato, between Jacques Diver and Gautam Singhania. They're P1 and P2 in the points. Their roles are reversed on the grid. They're P2 and P1 in points order, which means that Gautam Singhania has the upper hand going into turn 1. So it is just the Bucina turn now. And look at that, 36 cars on the grid. What a fantastic sight for what is going to be a thrill-packed 30-minute race, have no doubt. New livery for von Skeltermar in car number 177 has seemingly gone away from the shark's teeth for which he has always been well known. Safety car peels off. The engine note will rise. The anticipation and the excitement will rise as well as the lights go from red to green. Now, do we have a car out there on the grass? It's rejoining. How will that affect the start procedure? I think we're going to go. Indeed we do, as they're up to the timing line. Gautam Singhania has converted that pole position into P1 and will deny Jacques Diver as they head towards turn 1. Eric Prinot, of course, will be right up the inside as well and will try and relegate Jacques Diver down to P3. They are side by side as they go through turn 1. Singhania with a perfect start, and Eric Prinot has got ahead of Diver. So too has Christian Kinch and maybe Rick Lovett as well. Fantastic driving from Christian Kinch. Up the order from P5 on the grid is now into P3. So Diver then relegated to P4 with Rick Lovett behind him in P5. Then it's Dirk Adamski, Eric Chung and Vladimir Hladek, as you can see. Also trying to make progress in the all-yellow car is Holger Harmsen. This the opening lap, and Thomas Gostner and his daughter Corinna there side by side, and Corinna with the better of Dad at the moment. Von Skeltermar tucked in behind, but it is Gautam Singhania leading from Eric Prinot in P2. And they're making their way through this first opening lap. And it is a big grid of 36 cars. There's Dirk Adamski running down there in P6. Race leader goes through. Lots of jostling for positions further down the order. And for the first time of asking, we complete one lap and they head across the timing line. Singhania from Prinot, from Kinch, from Diver, Adamski, Lovett, Hladek. Then it's Chung and Thomas Loflad is P9 with Paul van Launhout put P10. So they scurry away, and Eric Prinot is sticking with Gautam Singhania like glue at the moment. Gautam Singhania P2 in the points, Eric Prinot P3. Now, crucially, Jacques Diver is down there in P4. Now he has a comfortable cushion at the top of the points chart, but needs to stay in a good point-scoring position. Singhania will advantage himself, and of course what's crucial as well is the fastest lap, because there is an additional point to be gained for the fastest lap. Has just taken a look at Thomas Gostner there, and diving up the inside is the 238 car of Otto Romanelli. And out already is the Dusan Palkra 117 machine. And there's Alexis Di Bernardi walking away. But look at this. Eric Prinot really is right on the back bumper of Gautam Singhania, and he's not allowing the Indian racer to get away here. So it's Singhania P1, Prinot P2. There's just a couple or 3 tenths between the two of them. Through the chicane they go. Now, Eric Prinot, when he took us through the onboard lap, was saying how you need to be super smooth around Mugello to make it work for you. He, of course, will have more experience of this circuit, certainly, than Gautam Singhania, and will know how to make this circuit work. So, up the start-finish straight they all come now. And Prinot has certainly taken another 10th out of Gautam Singhania, and it now looks like he's challenging. He's trying to harry, he's trying to stress, he's trying to worry Gautam Singhania ahead of him. Now, just took a look at the inside there, but Gautam had got the measure of it. So through the Luco and Poggio Secchio turns they go, up towards the Materazzi chicane now. Heavy braking from Gautam Singhania. Through they go. Borgo San Lorenzo heading towards turn 6, which is Casanova. Turn 7 is Savelli, and at turn 7 there's a cut through into the pit lane. There is the 151 car of Thomas Loflad. Now, it's quite a technical circuit and one that isn't necessarily easy on which to overtake. But Eric Prinot is really sticking with Gautam Singhania and is probably preferring the option of maybe pressuring Gautam Singhania into making a mistake. From a pace point of view, well, Prinot is marginally quicker. As we see a replay there of just as Prinot took a look at Gautam Singhania, but was not really able to do anything on board. A great overtake there that we could see. And there, everyone in the Kessel garages watch on as this battle continues. There's von Skeltermar, who's currently running down there in P12. So completely new livery for the von Skeltermar car for this weekend. Well, last time around, Singhania just managed to gain another 10th on Prinot, and already with a grid of 36 cars, they're coming across back marking machines. The returning Dusan Palkra car, number 117, so not back marking, but out from the pit lane. But Dusan Palkra doing the right thing and getting off the racing line and allowing those faster cars to come through. So Dusan Palkra effectively having been lapped by dint of the fact that he's been in the pit lane. So Singhania from Prinot, P1 and P2. And the Ineco MP driver keeping all the way with this Kessel driver that is leading. And they're both beginning to gap now. Christian Kinch, there's another inter-Kessel battle for P4 and P5 between Rick Lovett and Jacques Diver. Von Skeltermar under pressure from Thomas Gosner. And there is Thomas Loflad then in the 151 car, who's running in P9. Eric Chung in car number 198. We also see in the mix there too. So Corinna Gosner then in the 183 car. Oh, and I just knew there was going to be contact between the two of them. So Corinna Gosner with Paul van Loonhout getting together. They're both turned around and facing the wrong way. Basically, Corinna went up the inside. Paul then turned in, perhaps not realizing that Corinna was there. And that means that both of them go around. That on the Corinlato turn. And every other driver having to take evasive action to avoid them, including von Skeltermar, whose partner looks on with anxiety and worry. And Prinot, again, is really pushing Gautam Singhania. That was the same place that he'd taken a look previously as they head up now towards the Materazzi chicane. Singhania is not for being beaten here at the moment. We are 8.5 minutes into the race. And Christian Kinch there, who's running in P3. Then it's Jacques Diver P4, Rick Lovett P5. Then we see Dirk Adamski and Vladimir Haladik behind him. So the cars of Corinna Gosner and Paul van Loonhout under investigation for that incident. Rather think that Paul was an innocent party in that, truthfully, from the way we saw it here. So this, the battle for 6th position, as you can see, from between Vladimir Haladik and Dirk Adamski, and Jacques Diver now turning up the wick to try and find his way past Christian Kinch. So Jacques Diver, who goes into this leading the Coppa Shelley U points. is chasing down Christian Kinch ahead, who currently holds that P3 position in this race. Brilliant driving from Christian Kinch, perhaps the best we've seen. Sladik then tries to get alongside Dirk Adamski and does so. And that's an overtake for position then for Vladimir Hladik. And Dirk Adamski gets out wide, Hladik on the inside. And Diver now really pressuring Christian Kinch, hoping that Christian will make a mistake. Takes a very different line through there. And now, of course, Diver is in the position where he's hunting and being hunted as well, because Rick Lovett is just hoping for a mistake from Diver. Jacques doesn't make many, it has to be said. And, well, Rick Lovett will be after him. But at the moment, Rick is going to have to be defending from Vladimir Hladik, who now, having got past Dirk Adamski, is challenging and pressuring Rick Lovett. And that's the battle for P5. Very wayward and on the gravel there. Managing to rejoin and bring in a whole load of gravel out onto the track at the same time, which would be just what the drivers don't need. But in the meantime, Prinot is still with Gautam Singhania, but he's not as close as he has been. And, you know, he's just allowing the car to fall back a little bit just to get some cooler air into the 458. And Vladimir Hladik is about to be usurped once again by Dirk Adamski, or is he? Certainly he's in that position now where he also is being hunted as well as hunting, because Dirk Adamski will try and get past him whilst Vladimir Hladik is trying to chase down the Rick Lovett car ahead of him. Von Skeltermar is currently running just in the P11 position, with Romanelli ahead of him and Thomas Loflad as well. So Singhania and Prinot have pulled away a 5-second gap over the P3 car, and being told that there's a drive-through penalty for car number 183. That, of course, the car of Manuela Gosner. Whether we called that wrong, whether it was Manuela Gosner or Corinna Gosner that was involved in that incident with Paul van Loonhout. I thought it was Corinna Gosner. Perhaps Manuela Gosner is being given a drive-through penalty for something else that we've not seen. We will wait to find out. In the meantime, there is Dirk Adamski, who's running in P7. Well, it was Manuela Gosner that was involved in that situation with Paul van Loonhout, not Corinna Gosner. So Manuela it is that gets the drive-through penalty. Still, Christian Kinch is able to show a clean pair of heels to Jacques Diver. On for Christian Kinch's best finish of the entire season, if he can hold on for another 16.5 minutes to this P3 place. At the moment, Jacques is having to focus on defending from Rick Lovett behind him, and although Rick Lovett is having to focus on defending from Vladimir Hladik as well, and Hladik is closer than he's been to Lovett now as they cross the timing line. We're on board with Jacques Diver as he heads up towards the San Donato turn, which is turn 1. Down through the gearbox. Can see the Christian Kinch car ahead of him, but just can't quite get on terms with it. So last time around, Kinch was a 1/10.5 quicker than Jacques. Jacques appears to have turned the boost up a little bit now, though, as he's closer to Christian than he has been before. As I mentioned, the P1 and P2 drivers are now some 5 seconds ahead of everybody else in the pack. Let's give you the rundown of the order whilst we have just a breathing moment. Singhania leads from Eric Prinot. Then it's Kinch and Diver, then Lovett, Haladik, Adamski, Romanelli, Chung and Loflad. So the best of the North American drivers is that of Romanelli, who is running in P8 at the moment, Gregory Romanelli. And there is our race leader, Gautam Singhania, who is P1 with just under 4/10 margin between himself and the P2 driver, Eric Prinot. We see them both there, but Gautam Singhania with the measure of this at the moment, seemingly so. Taking a wide line there, and if Prinot had been just a little bit closer, he might have been able to pounce. As we heard in the onboard lap right at the start of the show, there aren't many people that know this Mugello circuit, perhaps as well as Eric Prinot, but Eric knows how difficult it is to overtake, as out is Holger Harmsen. Now, wherever that is positioned on the track, are we going to get away with waved yellows? So Holger Harmsen then in the gravel. Spoke to him just before the start of the race, and it's to be said he wasn't particularly happy. So we have a yellow flag at turn 9, which is Arrabbiata 2, which is where Holger has gone off. It's whether the car, and there we can see, looks like he was completely on his own, just carrying too much speed. Ah, no, he wasn't. He cut across the 208 car of Mike Zoy. Now, it's whether that car can be recovered with a waved yellow, because it is very, very close to the track. Whether the race director will decide that he has to give it a safety car to allow that car to be recovered, because there's 13 minutes left to run in this race. And I can't imagine they're going to leave the Holger Harmsen car there. So all those decisions are being made in race control as we speak. So there is Christian Kinch and Jacques Diver. Running P1 and P2. And there's Eric Chung in the 198 car. Eric Chung currently running P9. Well, at the moment, there's no word on what's happening with regard to the Holger Harmsen car, as Haladik once again just lines up Rick Lovett. And there, as I mentioned, is Eric Chung, who is running in P9, with Thomas Loflad in P10 behind. Von Skeltemar in the 177 car. Still running in P11, and Thomas Gosner behind in P12. But Thomas Gosner is under some pressure from the John Ferrano car, number 259, that you can see there. Into battle in the Kessel team. So on board with Romanelli that we are at the moment. The North American racer Romanelli. So forgive us just for a moment. One or two little technical issues here, which we have overcome with a hammer and a screwdriver, as you would expect. So we're back with it now. Vladimir Hladík now is the one that has had to take his focus away from chasing Rick Lovett and, well, worry about what's happening with Romanelli behind him, and he's having to make that 4.58 quite wide now, but still, actually, just as I say that, he goes back on the attack to Rick Lovett. Christian Kinch is doing a great job in P3. Holger Harmsen from the gravel has managed to get himself back out on track. So Holger Harmsen is rejoined. According to our timing screen. Did well to dig it out of there. And Rick Lovett has got passed by, well, not only Hladík, but also Romanelli as well. So Rick Lovett loses out on 2 places. Hladík is now P5, Romanelli P6. Rick Lovett is down to P7, and he's got Dirk Adamski right on him now. Well, Rick Lovett having done so well with the pressure of Vladimir Hladík. Running in P1 for North America is that car, as you can see. So the 319 machine of Cagnazzi. Then it's Zeckelman, Sada and Delatra. Then the standings North America for Shell. Crucial to point out that not only do we have the European drivers in here, of which this man, Gautam Singhania, is leading, but we also have the North American racers too, who are doing a great job out there. Of course, the European drivers with much more experience of the Mugello circuit. There's Eric Prinot, who is now some 7/10 behind Gautam Singhania, who, to be fair to him, has not put a foot wrong. Early stages, a lot of pressure from Eric Prinot, but he's been able to resist that, and now is just driving his own race and seems very, very comfortable out there. Done a bit of testing here at this circuit and clearly has got the measure of Mugello. He was supremely quick in qualifying, and now Hladík is going to be bouncing on the back of Jacques Diver, because Hladík is being pushed hard by Romanelli in car number 238. Gregory Romanelli then is pushing Vladimir Hladík for all his worth, and the Jacques Diver car running there in P4 is going to have them both bearing down on him very, very quickly. So we stay on board with Jacques Diver then, who has not really been able to trouble Christian Kinch ahead of him. Although Diver now gets ever closer to Christian Kinch. Is Christian going to open a gap and leave a gap there for Diver to dive into? Well, he is. That was a mistake, I'm sure, from Christian Kinch. And it was brilliant that we were on board, because we could see that gap almost opening up, and it's absolutely amazing. Now Christian really could lose out here as Hladík gets all sideways, manages to control it. Vladimir Hladík, who had been doing so well. Now Dirk Adamski can sense an opportunity to gain another place here, because it is Gregor Romanelli that's ahead of him now. Vladimir Hladík has dropped back following that out of shape moment. There's Thomas Loflad. Oh, and you can just see the back end of the Romanelli car getting very, very loose now, as with 5.5 minutes left to run. The tyres are reaching the end. Now, this was the gap that Christian Kinch, I think, unintentionally left. And, well, Jacques Diver didn't need the opportunity to go in there. Well, to be fair, that's why Vladimir Hladic was out and getting very, very sideways. He was prompted into that move, truthfully. So it wasn't all Vladimir's fault, that's for sure. Back to our P1 driver, Gautam Singhania, who has some 8/10ths over Eric Prinot, with 3 laps, I reckon, maybe left to run for Gautam Singhania. Here's the live gap for you then. 7/10ths now. So Eric Prinot, the Ineco MP racing driver, it's now or never if he's going to turn the wick up. Backmarking driver there is Christian Hobome. And Christian then for Auto Roper, doing a great job in terms of keeping to one side of the track and allowing the faster cars through. Super guy is Christian, who is tutored and coached by Matteo Santaporte Babalus. Christian is one of the true gentleman drivers, and you can see that in his behaviour on the track. Certainly isn't going to hinder anyone in terms of the progress that they're making, but Christian has just got quicker and quicker throughout the course of the season. Been a joy to watch. Right, P1, P2, Gautam Singhania, Eric Prinot, 7/10ths between them, but almost 10 seconds ahead of Jacques Diver, who is now P3. Then it's Gregor Romanelli, then it is Christian Kinch. And Dirk Adamski. And Dirk Adamski then returning to the championship in the 199 car, with Vladimir Hladic behind him now. Fastest lap, incidentally, came from Romanelli on lap 5, a 1:55.487, where they're now racing and gapping in the 1:57s, lapping in the 1:57s. Now, Diver is under a bit of pressure here now. You can see the lights being furiously flashed there by the Gregory Romanelli car. So Gregory trying to find a way, and I think, oh, just got on the inside of Jacques Diver now. He needs to really push as hard as he can. Diver will try and close the door, but I don't think he's going to. Gregory's going to go through here. And in a move, who's that slowing there on the left-hand side? I'd like to see that Romanelli drive again. There is Thomas Loflad, because it just looked from being on board, Diver did exactly the same as Christian Kinch did, and just almost allowed the gap to be there. I'm going to believe this. I think Holger Harmsen has gone off at the same place again, because we have a yellow flag area, and Holger Harmsen is the one that went off there last time around. Well, sure enough, he does go off again. Oh, and a very sideways moment from Eric Prinot. Prinot just gets onto some loose stuff and gets oh so sideways. Look at this quest to get ever closer to Gautam Singhania. So this time Holger Harmsen is not going to be able to rejoin from there. So the safety crew out there to get the Holger Harmsen car out of harm's way. Remarkably, Holger saying perhaps he'd had too much sleep last night. Really wasn't on it today in qualifying, and the race certainly hasn't gone his way either. So Gautam Singhania now will cross the line, and I suspect this will be last lap for Gautam Singhania, who has led the whole lap without fault and without problem. Christian Kinch now under pressure from Dirk Adamski. Dirk Adamski choosing to go to the outside. It's a long drive round turn one, and one that doesn't pay off. And does it allow the clutches of Vladimir Hladik? Not quite. So final lap, Singhania leading from Prinot, Romanelli, then Diver, Kinch and Adamski. There is Adamski with Hladik behind him, then it's Rick Lovett. So Eric Prinot then with the remainder of this lap and 6/10 to make up over Gautam Singhania. He's not been able to do it throughout the course of the race, and therefore I think it's unlikely that he's going to find an overtake here. I think it's also unlikely that Gautam will make a mistake. He certainly hasn't done all race long and has kept Eric Prinot at bay. So Singhania will finish P1. Prinot will finish P2, Diver will finish P4 potentially. Just looking at the consequences for the points and the Coppa Shell Championship EU-wise. So one more turn for Gautam Singhania, who will head now to take the checkered flag. He flashes his lights in appreciation to the Kessel team as Singhania wins from Prinot, P2. And it'll be a long wait before we see P3, some 8 seconds before Romanelli crosses the line. Then it's Diver P4, Kinch 5, Adamski P6, Hladik P7. Then it's Lovett, Loflad and John Ferrano rounding out the top 10. What a race we've seen. Imperato and Lendudis virtually in a photo finish across the line there. We've got some 34 cars to cross, and just look how happy they are down there on the Kessel pit wall for Gautam Singhania, who takes the win here in race 1 for Coppa Shell for the Ferrari Challenge Finali Mondiali weekend. And there is the winning car of Gautam Singhania. Well, when I spoke to him this morning, he was in pretty good mood. It'll be in an even better one now. And there is the delight to be seen on the pit wall. Weather conditions here, well, in the cockpit of the car, it's certainly going to be very, very hot indeed. So all the drivers having interesting weather discussions prior to the race. We've been in Mugello when it's been torrential rain and cold. We've also been in Mugello like this weekend where it's lovely and warm and track conditions absolutely perfect. So winner in North America then, Gregory Romanelli, who's pretty pleased with that, and so he should be too. And there is Gautam Singhania, the winner of the race overall, and certainly P1 in EU. Pro North America, Romanelli, and AM North America, Wyland in car number 218, who finished P14 overall. So Gautam Singhania makes his way into the pit lane now. There is Christian Kinch. Vladimir Hladik has had some moments during the course of the race. Thomas Loflad and the 259 car of Ferrano then. So John Ferrano from Ferrari of Fort Lauderdale doing a great job. And everyone standing by to welcome Gautam Singhania back. Racking my brains and all my information here. I'm pretty sure that that's Gautam's first win. As they hold up the P1, and I would suggest from the celebrations that I'm probably right. Water, water, water. So Gautam Singhania wins here in Mugello. It's the World Final weekend. And drove a super smooth race. There's Eric Prinot then, P2. Let's take a look at the highlights of that race. As they headed towards the lights, it was a packed grid of cars, and Gautam Singhania and Jacques Diver on the front row. Jacques Diver is the one that lost out. Initially going back down to P4. Wherever you look, there was action going on. It was Manuela Goestner and the car of Paul van Lowenhout that got together. Everyone else had to take evasive action to avoid, and avoid they did, thankfully. Holger Harmsen, that was part one of 2 trips out into the gravel, and he wasn't the only driver to find his way through the beach at some points in Mugello. Eric Prinot continued to push hard, so too did Jacques Diver, and Vladimir Hladík found himself on the receiving end of a nerf which put him out onto the gravel. He was able to recover from that. Eric Prinot had said pre-race, you've got to be smooth to win at Mugello, and the smoothest of them all was Gautam Singhania, who didn't put a foot wrong and took victory the World Finals weekend in Mugello. And Gautam himself getting very lit up and excited about that win, and that's how big the grid is as the car's trying to get into Parc Fermé, look, running out of space. Fantastic race. Here is the classification then. Singhania taking the win from Prinot. Romanelli P3. Gregory Romanelli P3. And the best of the North American drivers to show. And the best AM North American driver was Vejland there in P14. As you can see, Von Skelterma ending up P11, not able to advance his position with his new livery on the car for this event, P11. Races.ferrari.com. All the results will be up online very, very quickly indeed. There's Jacques Diver. Well, seeing Jacques Diver jump onto the car like that, I assume that the calculations have been done and that Jacques has done enough to have won the Coppa Shell Championship. We await confirmation of that, but seeing him jump up and down on the roof of the car, aided by Nicole, his partner, I would suggest that he has done the calculations and that he has done enough to ensure that he becomes the Coppa Shell champion for 2015. Take some super slow-mos then of the top 3 in the race. Gregory Romanelli then, who was very quick throughout the race and very, very determined. Eric Prinot, who's been there and thereabouts for the entire season, but as he said to me this morning, it's racing. We'd have all said the championship would go his way this year, certainly from the way he's been driving, but towards the end of the championship, it hasn't gone his way, and Gautam Singhania has just looked better and better and takes win today. So there is Jacques Diver, then of course takes P3 in the European Series, which means he's done enough to seal the Coppa Shell Championship. And there's Gautam Singhania, who jumps for joy on the top step of the podium and very nearly falls backwards. National anthem for Gautam Singhania. So Gautam Singhania absolutely delighted up there, congratulated by his teammate Jacques Diver. Jacques Diver receives his trophy. Paolo Poli, then the Chief Executive Officer here at the Mugello circuit, makes the trophy presentation now to P2, Eric Prinot. So whilst they're not, they're 1, 2, 3 across the line as Gautam Singhania takes P1. We're doing the EU podium. Hopefully we'll have time for the North American podium as well. And the best gentleman racer, that's racer over 50 years of age, is Eric Prinot as well. Now, this will be a celebration moment. Gautam Gautam and Jacques and Eric all involved in the champagne fight up there on the podium. So Gautam Singhania wins from Eric Prinot and Jacques Diver. There is Nicole, Jacques' partner, and there they are. Eric Prinot then has been saying it wasn't to be his year. He'd done everything he possibly could, and then sort of from the middle of the season on, it just went awry for him. And, well, championship hopes have favoured that of Jacques Diver. And we take some super slow-mos then of our race-winning car. And it was a very, very assured and smooth drive from Gautam Singhania, who genuinely did not put a foot wrong for the entire race and was consistently quick. And, well, Eric Prinot was the one that said, you've got to be smooth here. And Gautam was the smoothest of the lot and takes the win. And there, the backdrop of the paddock, which is a very, very busy place here at the Finali Mondiali weekend. We still have another race to come this afternoon from the Trofeo Pirelli cars. Another big, big grid of cars as well. Down there, the Kessel team and the Raymond team, of course, which is Gautam Singhania's business. Well, we can hear Gregory Romanelli being invited onto the podium as the North American podium is being done at the same time. So in the European race, Singhania, Prinot and Diver, the 1, 2, 3. And here then is the North American podium. So the podium then for the North American drivers. Romanelli, who was, well, he was effectively P3 in the race overall. So quick was he. An assist then receives P3. John Farano P2. And then Gregory Romanelli. He receives the winner's trophy, because P3 in the race overall, but P1 of the North American drivers that are here in the World Final weekend here at the Finali Mondiali Festival. The World Final weekend here in Mugello. So there, the trophy's held aloft, and the focus of the world's media attention on not only the podium, but also on this weekend as well. Such a big, big weekend in motorsport and Ferrari motorsport, with Formula One shows on track, and a fantastic event to be at. If you'd like to find out more, do check it out online. Just do a search on Finali Mondiali. But for race 1, which was for Europe, Coppa and North America, and the champagne sprays, that's just about it. But Trofeo Pirelli race still to come this afternoon. So, as we say, cheerio from the podium for North America. We've already seen the podium for EU, and the spectators look on and enjoy every single moment of it. From here in race comms, bye-bye for now. Make sure you join us for the Trofeo Pirelli race to come a little bit later this afternoon. It will be every bit as exciting as that Coppa race was. Bye-bye for now.